Welcome to Morgan's Point of View, where we talk movies, TV, sports, and other pop culture topics. I'm Morgan. This episode, we're talking about One Battle After Another, the movie that just came out, and Gen V, episodes 1 through 4. Now, some latest news before we start. First of all, the thing I wanted to highlight most is TV season is about to start. This is in October. This is when most of the TV shows come back on cable, like on NBC, on ABC, those type of shows. And I'm excited about it, as always. I think last season, the 2024 season, was one of the best that we had in regards to new shows. So I'm excited to see what this one brings. Cable TV is the backbone of America. So anytime the new TV season starts, I'm always immediately invested. Brilliant Minds came back last week. This is an NBC show, Doctors. I haven't finished season 1, but I might just jump into season 2. I don't know. I need a doctor show, so I might just jump back in. I thought it was a good premise. I just never went back to it because, again, there were so many new shows coming out in fall of 2024, so I really couldn't keep up. One Chicago is back this Wednesday. I have a love-hate relationship with the One Chicago shows, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med on NBC. They're in double-digit seasons now. Some of the most amazing, like the peaks were peak, but some of the valleys that we've come across in these later seasons have not been good at all. I think there's been budget decreases and stuff like that going on with Dick Wolf Productions, who made these shows in Law and Order. And so you see a lot of high cast turnover, meaning like a character will be there for one season, introduced as a regular, and then they'll end up leaving, and then it's a cycle that keeps repeating each season. And I just can't get behind that. I need my cast to be cohesive. I need my cast to be there for a long time. And there's been some mainstays that have been there for like the whole run of the show. Especially with Chicago PD, they've kind of kept the same core cast. It's just this one slot on the show they keep replacing and refilling, and I just can't. I think the storylines are getting a little bit repetitive, which is unfortunate because, again, the peaks were amazing and some of the best TV I've watched. So it's unfortunate to see this state. I might jump back in, honestly. I think Chicago Med is actually the best it's ever been, which is interesting with these other shows, Chicago Med and Chicago PD, kind of faltering. So Matlock is going to be back next week. This is Kathy Bates' show. It's a kind of a reboot of the original Matlock, but with a twist. She's playing the character of Matlock that she saw on the show so she can get closer to the truth about her daughter. It's very, very good, actually. Black people are also in the show, so I'm going to watch. I think it's a lawyer drama. It's a procedural. Really, really good TV. I'm excited for season 2. Law and Order came back last week as well. It's the same as it's always been, kind of. It's taken a bit of a step back. Law & Order SVU specifically is what I'm thinking of. High cast turnover, again, like I was talking about with One Chicago. So it's kind of up and down. This TV season, though, can be defined by spinoffs. Boston Blue, which is a Blue Blood spinoff, is coming. Sheriff Country, which is a Fire Country spinoff, is coming. 911 Nashville, which is a 911 spinoff, is coming. I love spinoffs, to be honest. There's no downside to me. I've said this before too, like if the show is bad, I just won't watch it. So there's no really downside to me with spinoffs. I think it's always a potential. It could be great. 911 Nashville is something I'm keeping my eye on. I think it could be good. 911 has kind of been lackluster to me for the past couple of seasons. So I want to jump into something new that kind of has that same premise with it. 911 Lone Star, which is their first attempt at a spinoff, got like 5 seasons. Wasn't great the last like 3 seasons. I think there's 2 seasons in it that were okay, and it was always one of those shows where I was like, it has a lot of potential to be great, but it just never hit that mark, which is unfortunate. 911 Nashville, I think Nashville is a good city to do this type of emergency type show. I'm sure they're gonna incorporate music. I already saw some country artists in the trailer, so I'm sure it's gonna be good. Well, I'm not sure of that, but if it is good, it'll be a plus for me. Chris O'Donnell starring in that, and hopefully it's a lot of drama to come with that. The MLB playoffs start today, actually. I love the MLB playoffs. It's really the official start of fall. I started watching in like 11th grade. I love it. Like I think it's actually one of the best playoffs that we have in Major League Sports. So entertaining. The crowds just come out. You can see everybody's wearing their team, repping their jersey. They have like the t-shirt set out before, so everybody's wearing the same color. Like it's just a great environment, especially when you get deeper into the playoff run. My team, the Atlanta Braves, aren't in it. Unfortunate, but again, less pressure on me. I'm just watching to watch, so it's always entertaining. Bad Bunny is the Super Bowl halftime performer. Now, a lot of people had a lot to say about this, but I think it makes sense from a lot of standpoints. The NFL is trying to broaden their horizons, broaden their audience to Latin America. So Bad Bunny being the halftime show performer makes a lot of sense. Bad Bunny is somebody who was like, I'm not performing in the U.S. because of the current political climate. So I think him doing the Super Bowl is a big like message to that. And I think his music is good. Like I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what he's saying, but I think his music is good, and I think he'll put on a great show. So to me, it's a win all around. All right, let's get into one battle after another. I saw this on Sunday. I went to a theater. The theater is not like it's kind of run down, so there's really not that many people there. So I went. It was like me, and there was like 5 other people in the theater. So it wasn't a lot. So I really got to hone in and focus in. I heard a lot about this movie, and a lot of people were hyping it up a lot, like a lot. Greatest political movie of the decade, so important, one of the best movies of the decade. Like, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of expectations to put on this movie. And did it live up to that? I don't know. It left me with more questions than answers, honestly, and it got me thinking, which is always a plus with movies. The film follows an ex-revolutionary who must rescue his daughter from a corrupt military official. Came out September 26th. It's a Warner Brothers movie. Paul Thomas Anderson directing, which he's an iconic director, but this is my first movie that I've watched from him, so I kind of went in blind, not knowing what to expect from this director. All I knew was the reviews and stuff pouring in on this movie. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Regina Hall, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity, and Sean Penn. It's based on Vinland by Thomas Pynchon, I think is how you say the name, which I didn't know, like, watching the movie, so that's interesting. Overall thoughts on the movie, I thought it was paced well. It's like a 3-hour movie, and I thought it was seamless from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3. I thought everything flowed together well, and yeah, like that it was technically sound. The movie was technically sound. The cinematography, everything looked good. The script was tight. We got to point A to point B to point C. Like, we got where we needed to go quickly. The premise of the movie is interesting to me. It being about an activist and an ex-revolutionary and them coming after his daughter years later. It felt like an action movie. In the beginning, it felt like it was like a political thriller or something, and it kind of changed into an action movie, like in the second act, third act. So it was interesting, that mashup of the two. The reception to this movie has been amazing so far, and it's definitely probably an awards contender just based on the reviews from critics. I think it was like in the high 90s Rotten Tomatoes score, so people are really enjoying it. The main feeling I got from this movie was uncomfortability. I was uncomfortable for a lot of it. I think the movie is about Black women. Like, that's literally the premise, the point of the movie. It's Black women. It's interracial relationships, specifically between a Black man and a white woman. And there was a lot of uncomfortability. But to me, I'd rather a movie make me feel awkward or uncomfortable than not feel anything. And I think, I don't know if it was his point to make people uncomfortable, but it definitely made me uncomfortable. I think that third act of the movie, which I don't want to spoil or give away, was amazing. I think the way they built anticipation, they left you on the edge of your seat. It kept building and building and building, and then the payoff was even greater. I think that was really well done. It was a really well-crafted movie. I'm going to go character by character. Spoiler now. I'm going to spoil it. Perfidia Beverly Hills is our main revolutionary in the beginning of this movie. She's the leader of this group. It's Tiana Taylor plays her. Tiana Taylor, I'm honestly, every time I see a Tiana Taylor movie, I'm impressed. Like, she's really an actress. Like, she really is good. She really knows her craft and is good at her craft. She's the leader of this group. She is so complex and so multi-layered, and sometimes I was like nodding my head like yeah, other times I was shaking my head like what are you doing? This is bizarre. The choices you're making are terrible. So I think we need more complex black women, especially black or white men have the full range of character. Good guy makes all the right decisions. Bad guy, but you know his intentions. A good guy, but he's complex and he's multi-layered and he's hard to figure out. So I think black women deserve the same type of treatment in this. And the biggest part of Perfidia to me was just the way that she used her sexuality in regards to her fight as an activist. It was very interesting to see because I don't know if we've seen a movie or I've seen a movie depict a black woman and her sexuality in this way. And it was interesting because, again, Paul Thomas Anderson is a white man, and I think that's what left me with a bit of uncomfortability in the choices that she was making. To her, she says in the movie, we're in kind of paraphrasing, her body was the war and the weapons were the play. To her, she used her body in a way to fight the revolution, the fight that she was fighting. It reminded me of the Black Power movement of the 80s and the role that women played in the Black Panther movement and other stuff in that 80s, and the way the sexism that went on there and the way that they had to use their bodies for the cause, recruiting people, stuff like that. And so it was an interesting play on that. She's a person that you can do like a 60-minute dissertation on just as a character. She was so just interesting. And she wasn't on screen for a long time. She's just on screen for the first act. And every decision you could analyze, like, why did she do it in that way? And the way that she went about her activism is what causes all the problems in this movie. So it's interesting to look at it that way. She ends up having relations with this general, this military general. They have a weird back and forth that, again, made me uncomfortable. And she ends up getting pregnant. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, his name is Pat. I don't know if he thought the child was his or he knew the whole time the child wasn't his, but he ends up taking her in. He ends up taking care of her. Tiana Taylor's character for Perfidia Beverly Hills ends up being despondent towards the child. She says that she feels jealous of the child, that she is getting all the attention from Pat, which again made me uncomfortable, but I'm sure it's a postpartum thing that she was going through. So she ends up leaving. And then she makes a decision that kind of ruins everything. So she robs this bank with these other people in this group, and she ends up shooting the security guard, who was just crawling on the ground, by the way. She did not need to shoot him. She just did it because I guess she was going through something. So now they're on the run from the police, and she ends up getting caught. And so she ends up getting caught. The general that she was, with is like, all right, well, you got to rat out everybody, and then I can get you out of here. So she ends up ratting out on everybody. Mind you, her grandma, her mom were all activists, revolutionaries, and so she decides to just tell on everybody. Like, she's signing papers, and then she's in witness protection, and then she decides to fly to Mexico. Like, you could have done that before you ratted out everybody. Like, she that's her role in this movie. She rats out everybody, and then she leaves to Mexico. And then everybody else is left to pick up the pieces. So, our real main character, her child, Willa/Charlene, has to reckon with the legacy that her mom left for her, which is probably the most interesting part of the movie to me. Willa/Charlene, Willa is her cover name because, they're on the run because her mom sold out everybody. She's the real lead of this movie, played by Chase Infinity. Chase Infinity is 25. She's going to be a star. This movie solidified her. It's my first time seeing her, and I already know she's going to be a star. It really solidified her. She's the lead of this movie. Every decision she makes affects the plot. she's the MacGuffin and she's the lead of the she's the lead. So it was an interesting dichotomy there. And I really, when I think about her character, she has to live her whole life thinking her dad was just paranoid. Like, they had all these secret languages, and she's got to take this little device that's like, it beeps off if somebody near you has the same device, and she can't have a phone and all these things. And she's living in the wake of that. She kind of has to take care of her father, Pat, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And so she's kind of contending with that. And then when stuff gets real, when Regina Hall's character, Deandra, has to basically come and save her because the general who her mom had her with is after them, because we're going to get into his intentions and why he wanted to do what he did later, but he's after her, so she has to go on the run again. And her face when the device beeps off and she sees Regina Hall's character, and Regina Hall is talking to her, but you only see Regina Hall's face through a mirror, and you're looking at Charlene, you're looking at Willa. The acting there was phenomenal. You could just tell she just never thought that this would happen this way, and that it was actually a real thing that she had to deal with and contend with. But once that moment happened, she's scared, but she jumps right into action. She relies on what her father taught her, and now they're on the move, they're on the run. Leonardo DiCaprio's character was it's different from what I've seen Leonardo DiCaprio play. He's definitely retired in all facets of the world. Like, he's forgetting the code words of the group he used to be in, all of that. He's really just a dad now. And once that call happens where somebody's on the other line, like, so-and-so, everybody's getting caught up, everybody's getting captured, he really has to take on kind of an action role. But it's funny because he really can't do anything. So he really doesn't do anything the whole movie, honestly. But you feel for him. You relate to him in some ways. He's just trying to get his daughter out of the situation. And after that, we're to the races. Lockjaw, this is the general. My one thought about him as a character, or the thing that pops out to me the most, is that he's scary. Like, he's really intimidating. He's a really, really scary guy. He's odd in the way that he moves, in the way that he walks, in his actions, in his thought process. Everything about him is weird. He wants to be in this white supremacy group, and they're like, we're going to do a background check on you. So he's like, if the daughter is mine, like, I gotta go and I gotta, in that. So that's his quest. That's his character motivation. He just had a dumb plan, because, like, you thought nobody was gonna, you're using military resources to go and look for this girl, and you think nobody's gonna put two and two together. They put two and two together quickly, mind you, and now somebody's after him, because, again, the white supremacist group was like, all right, well, we got to get rid of all the evidence that we even tried to get this person who has a mixed race daughter in. And so that's kind of what he's contending with. He's just very odd in the way. This is my first time watching Sean Penn act. I haven't seen him in anything. So this is all I'm going to know him as. Like, he was genuinely kind of repulsive. Like, he just, wow. So that's kind of the context, that's kind of the setup, and I think there's so much more to dive into with this movie, but I was just uncomfortable. Like, it ends up getting into a chase scene. Willa ends up getting out after Lockjaw tried to have her killed, and so now she gets into the car, and this car chase scene is kind of just the whole third act, and the anticipation and the fear that you have just from watching the overhead mirror in her eyes in the mirror. It was amazing work. She ends up outsmarting the white supremacist who wants to just get rid of all the evidence. And then Pat comes out. He was looking for her, and they have this conversation where she's like giving him the code word, and he doesn't know any of the code words. He forgot them all, and so she keeps asking him. You can tell she is just so traumatized from this whole situation that she never in her wildest dreams believed would actually happen. And so for her to, have that, and then they hug, and then he gives her a letter from her mom, which was very touching. But again, I was just like, you ratted out like your daughter, your family, and all the people that you knew, and now you're in Puerto Rico. Like, okay. But Willa decides to be an activist on her own. It's her choice. And, now it's the next generation of activists. She comes from a long line of activists, and she's the next person in that role, which I thought was very, like, it was hard. It gave me a sense of, like, peace and, like, okay, well, she's deciding to do this. She's deciding to take on this role. It's not that her parents forced her to do it. It's just something that naturally was a calling to her, and she wanted to do it. And so that was really, I think, touching. I think the father-daughter relationship at the center of the movie was, again, I'm 100% bought in. Their father and daughter, they've been through a lot. There's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio's in the car, and this might get him an award, honestly, now that I'm thinking back on the conversation. And he's like, I always thought that it would be his mother, or it would be her mother that walked through the door. Not that we would get in this situation, not that the military would show up. It would be her mother coming back, and he says, I don't even know how to do her hair. And it just puts the whole thing into perspective about, like, this whole situation about Willa / Charlene being mixed race and how she has to contend with that, and the two parts of her identity and her relationship to that identity, and the legacy of her parents. Again, she finds out that her mom is basically total on everybody, and she has to contend with that. You see her crying in her sleep over it and over the whole situation. And I really think it was really profound. I don't know if I agree with some of the ways that Paul Thomas Anderson, because this was written and directed by him, went about the way Black women, specifically Perfidia, was portrayed, and some of the ways that Lockjaw kind of talked about Black women in the actions in the movie. I don't know if I agree with it that way, but there was a direct message, vision, and it was executed well. And that's really all I want from a movie, I would say. Just a vision and execution of that vision. And that's what this movie was. I will be checking out other Paul Thomas Anderson movies in the future. Again, really, really interesting movie. Now, moving on to Gen V. This is a spinoff of The Boys. It's back for season 2. It's them. It's in college. It's set in college. I love this show so much. Like, watching it in 2023, I was like, I love superheroes. I love teen dramas. This is the perfect blend of them both. Marie Moreau, Black woman in the lead, so I was immediately sat. And this is really good. Every episode hits, and I genuinely think it's better than The Boys. I stopped watching The Boys. Season 5, I gave up. I didn't finish season 5. I don't think it's good. I think they lean too much on the satire to the point where, like, you're not really doing anything and you're kind of running in circles. Homelander is still alive at season 5. Every single season, somebody in The Boys gets in the way and stops them from doing what they set out to do in season 1. So it's kind of getting tiring at this point, and I think I'm a little bit done with The Boys. Will I be watching the final season? Sure. But I'm done with The Boys, to be honest with you. Gen V, though. Gen V is a great show. My type of show, made for me. My overall thoughts on this first 4 episodes, I thought they handled the death of Chance Perdomo really well. He was Andre in Gen V, and he unfortunately passed away. Thought they handled it really good. It's actually central to the plot. It wasn't like it happened and they like kind of pushed it aside and no characters really dealing with it. It's actually a central part. Everybody's character motivation is kind of the death of Andre and how to combat Vought in the Vought machine. And so I thought that was really, really well done. Marie Moreau this season is having a lot of growth in a positive way. We find out that she was actually born Acadolkin, and they had something to do with her birth. We don't know exactly what. It was kind of like a fertility clinic situation, so that's going to be interesting to continue to find out. She's definitely the most powerful, and honestly, I would have her kill Homelander if it was me in season. Is that going to be season 5 of The Boys? I guess. Whatever. The final season of The Boys, she should be the one to do it. I mean, great. The way that she kind of internalized her parents' death and blamed herself, and to the point where she is now, when she has that conversation in episode 3, I believe, with her Aunt Pam, and she's like, you're looking at me like I'm the one who did it, when really it was my parents who put me into this science project, and then they got a return on that science project. So it's really not my fault. I'm really out of the equation. I love that she took herself out of the equation. It wasn't me at all. I had no control. And the fact that Aunt Pam let her sister think that it was her fault is really dirty. I know for Aunt Pam, it's probably a tough situation to deal with, like, and how you handle that trauma, but it wasn't Marie's fault at all. It was her parents' fault. I hope that Marie ends up reconnecting with Annabeth, her sister, who she hasn't seen since that incident. I think we do. I think next episode, which will probably be out by the time this drops, I think they do reconnect, and hopefully it goes well. I think there's a lot of healing in that family that needs to be done, but I really hope it does. Cypher, who is our big bad, who is our villain this season, is really pushing Marie. He was a part of that Odessa situation and has a lot to do with her birth. So it's always interesting when a villain pushes our main character, our protagonist, to like level up, to like get better. And so I'm interested to see how it ends up flipping on him, and what his intentions are. Kate, I don't know. She's like she's always been sympathetic to me. As a villain, I don't really see her as that. See her as a kid who made a whole bunch of mistakes, but who's manipulated through all of those mistakes. So I really don't put too much on her, but she does have to contend with and reckon with what she did, the reasons why now she has no arm. Now she had that brain injury. It's because you keep trying to mind control people, like, without their permission, without their consent, and so it's gonna backfire on you. And she needs to realize that. I think she does need to apologize. She kind of has no backbone, which is, it's interesting to me because in season 1, I think towards the end, it felt like she was gaining that backbone when she went against the school, and it was the school fight, and she was standing on her own. Like, she was giving Emma Frost and X-Men. Like, I thought she was really going to stand up and, like, fight. But really, she has no fight. And it's interesting to see her powers being on the fritz. I'm interested to see what that leads to in regards to, like, what's the end goal of that? Like, what, her not having her powers, like, does she become more empathetic to humans, or I wonder what ends up happening to that. Does she gain powers later, or gains even more power on top of what she could do? I do need her to get her powers back, though, and I'm sure they figure out some way to do it, because her powers are great. They're dynamic. She was, like, talking through people and, like, reading minds and all that, and I love those type of powers, so I need her to have it back, honestly. Emma, I love Emma. I think she's the heart of the show, actually. I'm so empathetic to her and what she's going through, dealing with her, like, eating disorder and her low, like, self-worth. And I think through these first 4 episodes, she's really gained so much mentoring these girls in the performing arts, and letting them be like, hey, you guys can be heroes too. Y'all can step up and do something, actually. And so her having her own little team, I think, is a great character direction for her. And it makes sense because Andre put that battery in her back in season 1 to be like, well, look at your power set. You think you can't do anything, but you can do a lot, actually. You can be a hero. And so her passing that on to these other girls and her, like, crush, who I'm sure she's going to end up getting with, is great. Now, Jordan, a lot of their growth this season, it's been interesting. First of all, the bob that Jordan has, especially male Jordan, It's not good at all. I don't know why they did that to him, but him as a character has been good. Him and Marie's relationship, or them and Marie and Jordan's relationship, has been cool to watch develop and grow. It's very natural. I think they have great chemistry. I think Jordan is very, very powerful. It's just about unlocking that, I don't know, a little bit more tenacity. Like, I want you to really, like, do something, because they're very powerful. Like, and they can, do a lot. I think their development this season really comes from, like, owning up to, or telling the truth and going against the corporate machine. I think they did a lot of that last season, but this season has really been stamping that. Been a great support to Marie. I do feel like has kind of taken a step back, though, and it's interesting to see if they kind of get more in the forefront in these next couple of episodes. But they're really playing support to Marie, like really Marie's second in command. It's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they contend with Andre's death. We've seen a lot of it through these first 4 episodes. Them deciding to say I love you to Marie, realizing life is short, wanting to spend time with Andre again. And I think we really have seen the mental toll. I think the reconnection with Kate has been great this last episode. They kind of started to form their bond again, but I think Kate will probably do something to mess it up again, because she does that a lot. Now, moving on to Sam. Sam is great, a complex character. I think the step that he made with not getting mind wiped and having to contend with what he did was really good. Now, I think they do end up getting back with Emma by the end of this season, or at least take steps towards that, because I think there's still a lot of love there. I think that one conversation Emma had with Sam in like episode maybe 2 or 3, and she was like, at some point you got to own up to the stuff he did. You did, and that set him on that spiral to figuring out that. And then they started to reconnect with Jordan, and they started to form a connection again and reform that bond. And so I think he ends up solidified on the team by the next 2 episodes, and then they fight together in the finale. So Sam, again, all these characters are deep, layered characters. Great drama, great action. This is an amazing show. Theories, I think Cypher is Thomas Godolkin. That's like my theory right now that I'm running with. He says it's his dad, but I think it's him, and he Thomas Godolkin put his consciousness into Cypher or something of that sort. Which I don't know how that goes. I do think this does lead into The Boys' final season. How? I don't really know, but I think they'll connect those dots somewhere. I hope after the ending of The Boys they keep going with this show, though, because I think it's really something special and really something great that has surpassed The Boys, in my opinion. Thanks for watching or listening. I'll be back next week with another episode, probably talking about fall TV. I just love it. I love when TV season is right around the corner. It's like Christmas to me. So yeah, that's going to have a heavy presence on the show. Halloween coming up. We're going to do some Halloween movies. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Have a great rest of your day.